I woke up to a masked man standing over my bed. He tied me to a chair and beat me while my husband watched, crying and begging him to stop. They stole $200,000 and left me bruised and terrified. The police never found him, but I did. Because the masked man was my husband's best friend, and they'd planned the entire thing together to steal my inheritance. My name is Amanda, I'm 30 years old, and this is the story of the worst night of my life, and how I got my revenge. Let me start from the beginning so you understand how I ended up here. I met my husband Marcus 7 years ago when I was 23. He was 26, working as a personal trainer at the gym I joined after college. He was charming, handsome, attentive. He made me feel like I was the only woman in the world. We dated for a year, got engaged, and married 6 months later. For the first few years, things were good. We lived in a small apartment, both working hard to build our careers. I was a graphic designer for an advertising agency, making decent money. Marcus had his training clients and was talking about opening his own gym someday. We were happy, or at least I thought we were. The only real issue was money. Marcus spent more than he made. Designer clothes, expensive dinners, a luxury car he couldn't afford. I paid most of our bills while he chased this lifestyle he thought he deserved. But I loved him, so I made excuses. He's building his brand, I told myself. Image matters in his industry. Then, 2 years ago, everything changed. My father passed away unexpectedly from a heart attack. He was only 62. It devastated me. He'd been my rock, my biggest supporter, the person I called when things got hard. Losing him broke something in me. But he'd left me something. An inheritance. $250,000 from his life insurance policy and savings. He'd been a careful man, worked as an accountant for 40 years, lived modestly, and saved everything he could. That money was supposed to set me up for the future. When Marcus found out about the inheritance, something shifted. He became more attentive, more loving. He held me while I grieved and told me how we'd honor my father's memory by being smart with the money. We'd pay off our debts, save for a house, maybe finally start that family we'd been talking about. I put the money in a joint savings account. It felt like the right thing to do. We were married, we were partners. What's mine was his, right? That was my first mistake. Over the next year, Marcus started talking about investment opportunities. His best friend Derek worked in finance and supposedly had access to amazing deals. High returns, low risk, the kind of opportunities regular people never get. Derek had been in Marcus's life since college. They were close, almost like brothers. I'd met him dozens of times at barbecues and birthday parties. He seemed nice enough, though there was always something about him that felt off. Too smooth, too quick with compliments, always working an angle. But Marcus trusted him completely, so I tried to like him. Marcus wanted to invest $50,000 of my inheritance with Derek's firm. I was hesitant. That was my father's money, his legacy. But Marcus pushed. He said my dad would want us to grow the money, not just let it sit in a savings account, losing value to inflation. I said no. I said we needed to be careful, to do research, to talk to other financial advisors. Marcus got angry. He said I didn't trust him, that I was treating him like a child, that we were supposed to be a team. We fought for 3 days straight. Finally, I gave in on a compromise. We'd invest $25,000, not $50,000, just to test the waters. The money disappeared into some investment fund I never fully understood. Derek sent us paperwork that looked legitimate, quarterly statements showing modest returns. Marcus was thrilled. "See," he said, "I told you Derek knew what he was doing." But I never saw that money again. Not the principal, not the returns. Nothing. 6 months ago, things started getting worse. Marcus was stressed all the time, taking phone calls in the other room, being secretive with his phone. When I asked what was wrong, he'd snap at me or say it was just work stress. Then Derek started coming around more often. He'd show up at our house unannounced, and he and Marcus would disappear into the garage for hours, talking in low voices. When I asked what they were discussing, Marcus said they were planning a business venture, a new gym concept they wanted to pitch to investors. I wanted to believe him. But something felt wrong. The way they'd stop talking when I entered a room, the way Derek would look at me with this expression I couldn't quite read, almost like pity. Then came the night that changed everything. It was a Tuesday in March. Marcus and I had gone to bed around 10:30. We'd watched a movie, had a normal evening. Nothing seemed wrong. I fell asleep around 11. I woke up to someone shaking me violently. My eyes flew open, and there was a man standing over me. He was wearing a black ski mask, black clothes, gloves. He was big, over 6 feet tall, broad shoulders. I opened my mouth to scream, and he hit me across the face. Hard. Stars exploded in my vision. "Don't make a sound," he growled, his voice rough and distorted. "Get up, now." I looked over at Marcus. He was awake, sitting up in bed, his face white with terror. "Please," Marcus said, his voice shaking. "Please don't hurt her. Take whatever you want. Just don't hurt us." The man grabbed me by the arm and dragged me out of bed. I was wearing just a t-shirt and pajama shorts. I tried to fight, but he was so much stronger. He pulled me into the living room and shoved me down into one of our dining room chairs. He produced zip ties from his pocket and bound my wrists behind the chair, then my ankles to the chair legs. The plastic bit into my skin. I couldn't move. Marcus was brought out next, also in his pajamas, also zip-tied to a chair next to me. He was crying, actually crying, saying, "Please, please," over and over. The man stood in front of us. "Where's your cash? Your jewelry? Credit cards?" Marcus told him everything. Where my jewelry box was in the bedroom. Where we kept our emergency cash, about $3,000 in the closet. The credit cards in my purse, his wallet on the dresser. The man went to get everything while we sat there, tied up and terrified. I could hear him ransacking our bedroom, opening drawers, going through our things. Then he came back with a laptop bag. "What's the password to your bank accounts?" I looked at Marcus. We had to give it to him, right? What choice did we have? Marcus gave him the login information for our joint account, the one with my inheritance. There was still about $180,000 in there after the investment with Derek and paying off Marcus's car. The man opened the laptop right there in front of us. He pulled up our bank website, logged in, and started transferring money. I watched helplessly as he moved funds to accounts I didn't recognize. He drained everything, every penny. Then he looked at me. "You got anything else? Any other accounts?" "No," I whispered. My face was throbbing where he'd hit me. "That's everything." He stepped closer. "You sure about that?" "I swear, that's everything we have." That's when he hit me again. And again. He beat me while I was tied to that chair, unable to defend myself, unable to run. I felt ribs crack. Blood ran from my nose, my mouth. I heard Marcus screaming, begging him to stop, saying he'd given him everything. "Please just leave us alone." The man finally stopped. I was barely conscious, hanging forward in the chair, held up only by the zip ties. "If you call the cops in the next 2 hours, I'll come back and kill you both," he said. "I know where you live. I'll be watching." Then he was gone. The front door slammed. We heard a car start and drive away. Marcus and I sat there in silence for maybe 10 minutes. Then Marcus started struggling against his restraints. "Amanda, baby, are you okay? Please talk to me." I couldn't really talk. My jaw felt broken, but I made a sound. Okay, I'm going to get us out of this," he said. It took him another 20 minutes, but he managed to work one hand free from the zip ties. He untied himself, then untied me. I collapsed forward, and he caught me. He called 911. The police came. So did an ambulance. They took me to the hospital. I had 3 broken ribs, a fractured cheekbone, a concussion, and more bruises than I could count. They kept me overnight for observation. The police took our statements. They took photos of our injuries. They dusted for fingerprints and took the laptop as evidence. They were sympathetic but realistic. Home invasions are hard to solve. The guy wore gloves and a mask. Unless he slipped up, left DNA, or someone recognized his voice, the chances of catching him were slim. They asked if we had any enemies, anyone who might want to hurt us. We said no. They asked about the bank transfers. Those accounts were untraceable, routing through multiple overseas banks. The money was gone. Marcus held me at the hospital. He cried. He apologized over and over for not protecting me, for not fighting harder. I told him it wasn't his fault. The man was armed and bigger than both of us. There was nothing Marcus could have done. We were victims together. Or so I thought. We went home 2 days later. The house felt violated, wrong. I couldn't sleep in our bedroom anymore. I slept on the couch with all the lights on for a week. Marcus became obsessively protective. He installed a new security system with cameras, changed all our locks, bought pepper spray and a baseball bat. He wouldn't let me stay home alone. He took time off from work to be with me. Part of me was grateful. Part of me felt smothered. But mostly, I just felt broken. The insurance company was surprisingly helpful. Our homeowner's policy covered the stolen cash and jewelry. They cut us a check for $35,000. It wasn't enough to replace what we'd lost from the bank account, but it was something. Marcus wanted to put that money in his name only, for safekeeping. He said if we got robbed again, at least they couldn't access everything. It made sense at the time, so I agreed. That was my second mistake. 3 weeks after the robbery, I still wasn't sleeping well. I'd wake up multiple times a night, panicking, thinking I heard someone in the house. The security system didn't help. Nothing helped. One night, I was lying on the couch at 2 a.m, wide awake, and I decided to check the security camera footage on my phone. Marcus had shown me how to access it. I thought maybe reviewing the night of the robbery would help me process it somehow, help me feel like I had some control. I pulled up the app and started scrolling through the recordings. Our system had cameras on the front door, back door, and garage. They recorded continuously and saved footage for 30 days before deleting it. I found the night of the robbery. I watched the timestamp tick by until 3:15 a.m., when you could see our front door opening from the inside. The masked man walked out, carrying our laptop bag and a duffel bag full of our stuff. He got into a dark sedan parked on the street and drove away. But then I kept scrolling. I wanted to see if the cameras had caught him arriving, maybe caught a license plate or something the police could use. And that's when I saw it. The day before the robbery, Monday afternoon at 2:30 p.m., the front door camera showed someone approaching our house, a tall man in jeans and a hoodie. He rang the doorbell. Marcus answered. They talked for a moment, then Marcus stepped aside and let him in. I couldn't see the man's face clearly because of the hoodie, but I could see his build. Same height, same broad shoulders as the intruder. They were inside for 3 hours. The camera showed the man leaving at 5:30, right before I got home from work. I felt sick. Who was that? Why hadn't Marcus mentioned having someone over? I kept scrolling through the footage. 3 days before the robbery, the same man visited. 2 days before, another visit. Each time Marcus let him in, they stayed inside for hours, and the man left before I came home. My hands were shaking. I took screenshots of everything. Then I did something I'd never done before. I went through Marcus's phone. He was asleep in our bedroom. His phone was charging on the nightstand. I knew his passcode because we'd always had an open phone policy. Nothing to hide, right? I opened his messages. Most recent was a thread with Derek. I started reading. The messages went back months. At first, they seemed normal. Plans to hang out, sports talk, the usual guy stuff. But then, about 4 months ago, the tone changed. Derek, you sure about this? It's risky. Marcus, we don't have a choice. I'm drowning. Derek, how much do you need? Marcus, at least 150K, more if possible. Derek, and she won't notice the money moving? Marcus, not if we do it right. She trusts me. I kept reading, my heart pounding so hard I thought I'd pass out. They'd planned it. All of it. The fake investment that lost $25,000 of my inheritance. The gambling debts Marcus had racked up that I knew nothing about. The loan sharks who were threatening him. And finally, the plan to stage a home invasion, steal my inheritance, and split the money. Derek would play the intruder. Marcus would play the helpless husband. I'd be the victim, traumatized and none the wiser. They'd steal everything, claim it on insurance, and Marcus would have enough to pay off his debts and start fresh. The beatings I endured? That was Derek's idea, to make it look real, to make sure the police didn't suspect it was staged. Marcus had agreed. I read messages from the night after the robbery. Derek, dude, I think I hit her too hard. What if she has permanent damage? Marcus, she'll be fine. She's tougher than she looks. Derek, the money cleared, sitting in the account like we planned. Marcus, good. Give it a month before we move it again. Let things cool down. Derek, you think she suspects anything? Marcus, no, she completely bought it. She feels sorry for me for not protecting her. I sat on our bathroom floor reading these messages, and I cried silently. Not from pain this time, from betrayal. The man I'd loved for 7 years, the man I'd married, the man I'd trusted with my inheritance, had orchestrated my assault. He'd watched his best friend beat me, break my bones, terrorize me, and he'd done nothing because it was all part of the plan. They'd stolen everything, my money, my sense of safety, my ability to trust, and they'd gotten away with it. But here's the thing about me. I'm not the kind of woman who stays a victim. My father raised me to be strong, to fight back when life knocked me down. And these two had just made the biggest mistake of their lives. I took photos of every message. I downloaded the security footage to a thumb drive. I documented everything. Then I went to the police. Not the local cops who'd handled the original case. I went to the FBI. Because Marcus and Derek had committed wire fraud by transferring money across state lines, insurance fraud by filing false claims, and conspiracy to commit assault. The federal agent I spoke with was a woman named Sarah Chen. She was maybe 40, sharp-eyed, and she listened to my entire story without interrupting. When I showed her the messages and the security footage, her expression hardened. Mrs. Patterson, this is enough for us to open an investigation. But I need to ask, are you prepared for what comes next? Your husband will be arrested. His friend will be arrested. This will be public. Your life is going to get very difficult before it gets better. I don't care, I said. I want them to pay for what they did to me. She nodded. Then let's make that happen. The investigation took 6 weeks. In that time, I had to pretend everything was normal. I had to sleep next to Marcus, eat dinner with him, let him hold me when I had nightmares about the robbery he'd orchestrated. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. But I did it, because I needed the FBI to build an airtight case. They tracked the money. They found the offshore accounts. They discovered Marcus's gambling debts, $57,000 owed to an underground casino. They found evidence that Derek had financial troubles too, facing foreclosure on his house. They subpoenaed the men's phone records and found hundreds of messages about the plan. They enhanced the security footage and confirmed Derek's identity. They even found the ski mask in Derek's garage. On a Thursday morning in May, federal agents executed arrest warrants at both homes simultaneously. I was at work when they arrested Marcus. They called me to let me know, and I drove to the police station. I wanted to see him. They brought him into an interview room in handcuffs. When he saw me, he started crying. "Amanda, baby, this is a misunderstanding. I don't know what they think I did. I know everything," I said calmly. "I read your messages. I saw the security footage. I know you and Derek planned the robbery. I know you let him beat me to make it look real. I know about the gambling, the debts, all of it." His face went white. "You don't understand. I was going to pay you back. I was in trouble. I didn't have a choice. You had a choice. You could have told me the truth. You could have asked for help. Instead, you decided to have me assaulted and rob me. I never wanted you to get hurt. That was Derek. He went too far. You watched him break my ribs, Marcus. You watched him beat me unconscious. And you did nothing." He reached for my hand across the table. I pulled away. "I love you," he said desperately. "We can fix this. Just tell them it was a misunderstanding, that you were confused." I stood up. "I'm filing for divorce. You're going to prison. And I hope every single day you're there, you think about what you did to me." I walked out. I never saw him again outside a courtroom. Marcus and Derek both faced federal charges. The prosecutor offered them a plea deal, plead guilty, cooperate fully, and they'd recommend reduced sentences. Both accepted. Marcus got 7 years in federal prison. Derek got 8 years because he was the one who actually committed the assault. They both had to pay full restitution, $250,000 plus the insurance money they'd fraudulently claimed. Neither one has that kind of money, so I'll probably never see it. But I don't care. It was never about the money. The divorce was finalized 4 months ago. Marcus signed everything from prison without contesting it. I kept the house, the car, everything. His family tried to make excuses for him at first, but when they learned the full truth, they stopped defending him. I've started therapy. I'm working through the trauma, both from the assault and from the betrayal. Some days are harder than others. I still have nightmares. I still struggle to trust people, but I'm healing, slowly. I sold the house because I couldn't live there anymore. Too many bad memories. I moved to a new city, started a new job, and I'm rebuilding my life from scratch. My father's inheritance is gone, but I'd like to think he'd be proud of me anyway. I didn't let them break me. I fought back. I got justice. Marcus will be released when he's 43 years old. He'll be a felon, unable to find decent work, his reputation destroyed. Derek will be 46. Same situation. Meanwhile, I'm 30. I have my whole life ahead of me. I'm free of them both. And I'm stronger than I ever thought possible. The moral of the story? When someone shows you who they really are, believe them. And when someone betrays you, don't just get mad. Get evidence. Get a lawyer. Get justice. Marcus thought he could use me, steal from me, and get away with it. He thought I was too trusting, too naive, too weak to fight back. He was wrong. I'm not a victim. I'm a survivor. And I won. To anyone out there who's been betrayed, stolen from, or abused by someone you trusted, you are not alone. You are not powerless. Document everything. Find help. And fight back. You deserve justice. You deserve peace. You deserve better. And to Marcus, wherever you are in federal prison, you should have just been honest with me. You should have asked for help. But you chose to hurt me instead. And now you're paying the price. I hope it was worth it. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share. And remember, never underestimate a woman who knows her worth.